Hello everyone and welcome to another ride overview video. This one is all about the mini golf. The mini golf is not a particularly great ride, but it does have some interesting properties and it can look quite good. In open RCT2 it can also pull off a really cool teleportation trick that only a few other rides in the game are capable of. Let's start this video with the reasons why the mini golf is not such a great ride type. The main downside of the mini golf is that it has an incredibly low throughput. Even a very optimized design with only the easiest hole and the minimum walking time between holes can barely reach 200 guests per hour. For comparison, a standard merry-go-round, which I already consider to be quite slow, can handle about twice the number of guests per hour as the mini-golf. Because of this, you won't be making a lot of money from the mini-golf. You also run the risk of guests complaining about a long queue time if you make the queue line longer than a few tiles. Another downside is that the operating cost is insanely high for what you get. Here we have a big twister coaster with 2 trains, a launched lift hill, multiple brake sections and quite a long track. This coaster should clearly cost a lot to maintain. Right next to it we have pretty much the smallest mini golf possible, consisting of 2 station pieces, 6 path pieces and 0 holes. Have a guess which one has the higher operating cost? That's right! It's the mini golf. I suspect the reason is that they use golf balls made out of diamond and that guests just keep losing them. It's not a huge issue as the ride running costs generally are only a very small portion of your monthly expenses, but it's still ridiculous. The weirdest thing is that the holes add almost 0 extra cost. The operating cost of these 3 coasters scales nicely with their size, but that's not at all the case for the mini golf. This very long mini golf with 31 holes costs less than 10% more to operate than the tiny golf with 0 holes. With the low throughput and the high operating costs, it's clear that you should only ever build a mini golf if you want it for the aesthetics and have enough money left over. If you're struggling for cash, you are better off building almost any other ride. So far I've been quite negative in this video, but the mini golf does have some advantages. One of those advantages is that it cannot break down. If you have a park consisting only of rides like the mini golf, the maze and the crooked house, you do not need any mechanics, which can save quite a bit of money. I don't recommend this at all when playing scenarios normally, but it could help you out when doing something like a no staff challenge. The other advantage is that the mini golf can just look really good. My favorite scenario in both RCT1 and RCT2 combined is Sherwood Forest, which very prominently features a mini golf that is really beautifully decorated. It won't help you much to beat the goal, but it does make the scenario a lot more enjoyable to play. Now that we've discussed the main advantages and disadvantages of the mini golf, let's take a closer look at its stats and elements. The mini golf has 5 different types of holes. Hole A is the easiest as it's just a straight line. Hole B is a zigzag, hole C has a tunnel, and hole D and E are the same hole, but they turn in different directions. The differences between the holes are mostly aesthetic as they all give the same amount of stats. The base stats of the mini golf are 1.50 excitement, 0.90 intensity and 0.00 nausea, and it then gets extra excitement depending on the number of holes and how long the track is. Since there is no difference in terms of stats between the different holes and the more difficult holes take longer for the guests to complete, the most optimized mini golf only uses the easiest hole. How the length of the track is determined is interesting as the length varies depending on the guest that first goes on the ride. Whenever the guest is walking, the length counter ticks up. This means that the more a guest has to walk back and forth on a hole because they suck at minigolf, the higher the length stat will be. These 5 identical minigolf tracks all have a different length, ranging from 311 meters to 363 meters. The minigolf has exactly one stat requirement, which is that you need to have at least one hole. If you have 0 holes, the excitement rating will be divided by 8, and the intensity and nausea ratings will be divided by 2. Now comes usually the part where I show some efficient designs for the ride type that we're talking about, but that's not really a thing for the minigolf. You should not optimize this ride, you should only build it when you have enough money to make something pretty. Now let's talk about the teleportation trick I mentioned at the start of the video. In order to pull this off, you do need to open RCT2, which I have linked in the description down below. Because the minigolf is a guest operated ride, it is capable of teleporting past a large number of ride elements from other ride types. For example, here we have a minigolf with a vertical looping in it. Since the guests are unable to be on the vertical loop, they will simply teleport past it as if it is not there at all. This works for many other track pieces as well, including several pieces that start and end at different heights, which makes the minigolf one of the only ride types capable of vertical teleportation, or at least until a method to do this for coasters is discovered. Some of you may recognize that this works the exact same as the portal cards I made a video about a while ago. If you want to know more about how this works, I recommend watching that video by clicking the card in the top right of this video. There is one more thing that I want to show you. If you make the minigolf track incomplete by deleting a track piece with a tile inspector after you have opened it, the guests will crash and explode. This is because the guest is actually in an invisible vehicle that, just like all the other vehicles in RCT2, is filled to the brim with nitroglycerin to make it explode at the slightest touch. And that was it for the minigolf. It's a bad ride for optimization, but it can be a great ride if you want to build something beautiful, and it can pull off a nice teleportation trick. If you liked this video, consider giving it a like or leaving a comment. You can also subscribe or follow me on Twitch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.